Hi, I'm John Barber, Editor-in-Chief at IDW Publishing, and welcome to Barber's Shop. Hope everybody out there is doing okay. It didn't seem appropriate to be doing hyping of comics here for the last couple of weeks, not wanting to distract from the monumental and I hope lasting changes going on in the way America works. But amid everything, there was some very good news for many comic book creators, as the Eisner Award nominations were announced, and IDW led the field with 15 nominations. Congratulations to all the creators. The Eisners are like the Academy Awards of comics. They're named after legendary comics creator Will Eisner, maybe best known for creating the character The Spirit in the 1930s and A Contract with God in the 1970s, which was a key piece of storytelling in the maturing of comics and graphic novels. So like I said, with 15 nominations, this was a record year for IDW, and leading the pack with 3 nominations is Ghost Tree, nominated for Best Limited Series, Best Pencil or Inker for Simon Gane, and Best Writer for Bobby Curnow. Ghost Tree tells the story of a guy returning to his ancestral home in Japan, where he finds a tree haunted by departed souls, including his grandfather, and he learns how the past informs the present and how you can't run away from your problems. Penny Nichols from Top Shelf, which is part of IDW, was nominated for Best Publication for Teens, as well as Best Writers for M.K. Reed and Greg Means. Matt Wiegle drew this graphic novel about Penny, who's stuck in a rut of dead-end jobs until she finds herself working on the set of a no-budget slasher movie called Blood Wedding. And now she's the only one who can hold the thing together. Also from Top Shelf is a nominee for Best Reality-Based Work. The graphic novel, They Called Us Enemy, written by George Takei, Justin Eisinger, Stephen Scott, and drawn by Harmony Becker. George Takei, best known as Sulu in Star Trek, but who's a phenomenal actor, author, and activist, recounts his harrowing experience as a child during World War II when, as an American citizen of Japanese descent, he and his family were, like so many other people, rounded up by the US government and shipped to a so-called relocation center, stripped of their normal lives and rights. Seeing this through the eyes of a child, and then seeing the reflections upon it by Takei as an adult, make this one of the most powerful stories you'll find in graphic novels. IDW has 2 nominations for Best U.S. Edition of International Material. Gramercy Park by Timothée de Fombelle and Christian Cailleaux, translated by Edward Gauvin. This was produced by EuroComics and published by IDW, and tells a poetic and mysterious adventure of a young woman and a kingpin of crime in 1950s New York. Our second nomination for Best International Material is Diabolical Summer by Thierry Smolderen and Alexandre Clerisse, also translated by Edward Gauvin. Artist Alexandre Clarisse's work here was also nominated for Best Painter Digital Artist, and that was for this work in the stylish and bold 1960s spy adventure, where a 15-year-old kid gets pulled into the wildest 2 days of his life. Next up is a nomination for Best Archival Collection, Comic Strips. It's Ed Leffingwell's Little Joe by Harold Gray, edited by Peter Maresca and Sammy Harcum from our friends at Sunday Press Books. Harold Gray was the creator of Little Orphan Annie, and when his cartoonist cousin Ed Leffingwell died, Gray took over the duties on that strip. It's a fascinating piece of comic book history and one that's been overlooked for a long time. We also have a nominee for Best Archival Collection Comic Books, and that's Stan Sakai's Usagi Yojimbo, The Complete Grass Cutter Artist Select, by Stan Sakai, edited by Scott Dunbier. If you've been watching these videos, you know I love Usagi, and Grasscutter is one of the all-time best Usagi stories. Here it's presented as an Artist Select edition, which is a deluxe oversized hardcover, the production of which is overseen by Scott Dunbier, the maestro behind our artist editions. Stan was also nominated for Best Lettering for the Usagi Yojimbo ongoing series, and our great friend Darren Bennett was likewise nominated for his lettering on Kanto here at IDW, plus his excellent work on comics like Batgirl, Green Arrow, Justice League, and Martian Manhunter. Life on the Moon by Robert Grossman was nominated for Best Graphic Album New, and it comes from our partners at Yoe Books. Grossman was a world-famous painter and cartoonist. If you're not familiar with him, you might have seen his poster for the movie Airplane with a plane tied in a knot, but he did a million other things, a lot of which you've seen. Now, sadly, he died a couple years ago, but he left us this amazing book. Back in 1835, a newspaper published a series of articles claiming to reveal a civilization on the moon. And in this book, Grossman expands this hoax into a full graphic novel about that civilization. And finally, and I'm listing this one last here because this goes back to the roots of comics, and film for that matter, is a nomination for Best Comics-Related Book. Screwball, The Cartoonists Who Made the Funnies Funny by Paul Toomey from the Library of American Comics. This book looks back to early comic strips and the cartoonists who forged the absurd and somewhat surreal style of screwball comedy, a genre that would spill over into film and influence culture immeasurably. This book delves into some of the names that have risen to prominence in comics history, like George Harriman, Popeye creator E.C. Seeger, and Rube Goldberg, but also looks into lesser-known and forgotten pioneers, making this a great book for anybody wanting an understanding of comic history, whether you're looking back for the first time or if you're an historian yourself. So congratulations to all the nominees, and not just these three, but everybody. And if you're watching this before July 18th and you're eligible, go vote for the Eisners. If you're not, don't worry, these are still really great books. And if any of these piqued your interest, check out our web store or your local comic shop or bookseller and grab a copy for yourself. And as always, let's use this time to connect and keep the IDW community active. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below and I'll answer what I can. That's all for this week. Now remember, you can keep up with IDW on social media and check back here every week for news and updates. Thanks for watching.